please. Praise to the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and peace to everyone that's here today. Peace to everyone that's watching us live on the internet and listening on the phone line. And as always, it's good to stand before you on the Lord's Sabbath day. And today we're going to, like we always do, we deal with lessons by subject and title. And today we're going to deal with God is king over all the earth, which he is. And I haven't done this lesson. I think I did it a couple years ago, but like always, you can never get enough of the book. And the reason this lesson came around because, they had a nice little blizzard up in the Northeast with all that snow they got hit with. And as I was watching it on the news, all I could hear was Mother Nature, Mother Nature, Mother Nature. Like, Mother Nature has something to do with all that snow. But we're going to read out of this Bible that God is in control of everything. He can give you a cool breeze, or he can give you 80 miles an hour worth of wind. He's still running. He's in control of all of this. So Mother Nature has nothing to do with a hurricane or tornado, a blizzard, a tidal wave, a tsunami, an earthquake, or anything like that. God is in control because he's king over this earth. Even though man has dominion, man has to answer to somebody. And that's God, because the order of things is God, Christ, man, woman. So man has to answer to someone as well. So we are all subject to the God of Israel. Nothing dies unless he knows about it, because he did it. And we're going to show you that in this lesson. So let's deal with it. We'll start in the beginning to show you that God created everything, not Mother Nature. So we're going to start in the beginning, Genesis chapter 1. We got a couple references to history. I couldn't print it all up because I don't have no ink. So y'all just got to bear with me. So Genesis 1, and pick it up at verse 1. We're going to start in the beginning. Genesis 1 and verse 1. Okay, read.
In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth.
So in the beginning, nobody knows when the beginning was. It could have been 1,000,000 years, 2,000,000 years. Nobody knows, but we know in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. So let's see some of this creation. Skip down to verse 9 and start there. Go ahead.
And God said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so.
So he said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together into one place, and then the dry land appeared. Go ahead.
And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the water called he seas. And God saw that it was good.
So the dry land he called earth, and the waters he called seas. Go ahead.
And God said, let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself, upon the earth. And it was so. And the earth brought forth grass, and the herb yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself, after his kind. And God saw that it was good.
So God created the trees and the grass. Everything that's coming up out the ground, the Lord created it. Go ahead.
And the evening and the morning were the third day. And God said, let there be light in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years.
So God said, let there be firmament, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons. Those lights that's in the firmament that you can see at night are for signs and for seasons, not to be worshipped. The stars, they got this witchcraft thing called astrology. People just play it lightly, but it's some witchcraft. You are plotting your life around some stars. We got sun worship. We got moon worship. The Bible says they for signs and for seasons, not to be worshipped. Go ahead.
And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so.
And that's their job, to give light upon the earth, not to be worshipped. Go ahead.
And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide light from darkness. and to divide the light from the darkness, and God saw that it was good.
So we see God is creating all of this. Mother Nature has nothing to do with this. This is God doing this. Go ahead.
And the evening and the morning were the fourth day. And God said, let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that hath the life, and the fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven. And God created great whales, and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly, after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind, and God saw that it was good.
So he created the birds and everything that's swimming in the waters. God created it. Keep reading.
And God blessed them, saying, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the water in the seas, and let the fowl multiply the earth. And the evening and the morning were the fifth day. And God said, let the earth bring forth the living creature after his kind, cattle, and creeping things, and the beasts of the earth after his kind. And it was so. And God made the beasts of the earth after his kind, and cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind. And God saw that it was good.
So he made the sea creatures, and he also made the land creatures. Keep reading.
And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth.
So after he made the creatures of the land, now it's time to make man so he can have dominion over these creatures, over everything that creepeth upon the earth, the fowl of the air, the fish of the sea. Man has dominion. But he still has to answer to God, because God created them as well as he's creating him. So somebody has to answer to somebody. The only person that don't have to answer to nobody is God. Keep reading.
So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. And God blessed them, and God said unto him, be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth.
So God created everything, including man. Now let's look at this Mother Nature. I don't have this on. I can't print it up, but we're going to read a little bit, just a little bit. Then we're going to get back to the book. Mother Nature. Since Mother Nature seems to be the one that people give credit to causing all these storms and hurricanes, let's see where this Mother Nature came from. You got it right there, too. Go ahead and read that. Let me see this. Just read what's highlighted in yellow.
Mother Nature. Mother Nature, sometimes known as Mother Earth, is a common personification of nature that focuses on the life-giving and nurturing aspects of nature by embodying it in the form of the mother. Images of women representing Mother Earth and Mother Nature are timeless. In prehistoric times, goddesses were worshipped for their association with fertility, fecundity, and agricultural bounty. Priestesses held dominion over aspects of Incan, Algonquin, Assyrian, Babylonian, Slavonic, Germanic, Roman, Greek, Indian, and Iroquois religions in the millennia prior to the inception of the patriarchal religions.
So Mother Nature is none other than paganism. That's all she is. And if you being a servant of the Lord, that shouldn't even be coming out your mouth. Just like as you become knowledgeable in this truth, you don't even say Christmas no more. You say winter solstice. Call it what it is. And then you don't even say Easter no more. You call it what? Spring fertility. So Mother Nature shouldn't even be coming out of your mouth. You be like, man, look what the Lord did. 3 feet of snow in Connecticut. Go ahead, keep reading.
Western tradition history. The word nature comes from the Latin word natura, meaning birth or character. See nature innate. In English, its first recorded use in the sense of the entirety of the phenomena of the world was very late in history in 1266. However, natura, also the personification of Mother Nature, was widely popular in the Middle Ages, and as a concept seated between the properly divine and the human. It can be traced to ancient Greece. Though Earth or Earthe in the Old English period may have been personified as a goddess, and the Norse also had a goddess called Jord earth.
So we know the Norse are the what? Them Vikings. So everybody had some form of Mother Earth. Greece had it, Rome had it, the Vikings had it, the Iroquois Indians had it, the Slavonics had it, Babylon had it. It's been around for a long time. Paganism been around for a long time. And that's what Mother Nature is, paganism. Let's read this. Read that what's in highlighting. Read, start at the top there. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Mother Nature, noun, used to refer to the natural world as if it were a woman. Full definition of Mother Nature. Nature personified as a woman considered as the source and guidance force of creation.
Wait a minute. Nature personified as a woman considered as the source and guiding force of what? Creation. We just read in the Bible where God created everything. So who's the source and guiding force of creation? God, not some Mother Nature. So if they want to put this on you, then they have to brainwash you to thinking that that's actually what it is. And the best way to do that is the media. And that's where they started popular culture. Let's see the evolution of it. Popular culture. Everybody remember this commercial. Go ahead, read that.
In the early 1970s, a television ad featured character actress Dina Dietrich as Mother Nature. Vexed by an off-screen narrator who informs her she has mistaken chiffon margarine for butter, she responds with the trademark slogan, "It's not nice to fool Mother Nature," underscored by thunder and lightning.
We all remember that commercial. It's not nice to fool with Mother Nature. Read a little more. Go ahead.
Mother Nature is featured in The Year Without a Santa Claus, voiced by Rhoda Mann. This version is the stepmother of Heat Miser and Snow Miser.
I used to like that one. I could sing that Heat Miser and Snow Miser song right now. But keep reading.
Mother Nature, under the Mother Earth name, appears in the Earth Day special, played by Bette Midler. Mother Nature is featured in Happily Ever After, voiced by Phyllis Diller. She is depicted as the most powerful force of good in the movie, having complete control over nature, as well as the ability to create creatures from potions she makes in her sanctuary. She gave the dwarf elves each power to help her keep nature in check. When they bring Snow White to her sanctuary, she holds Thunderella accountable for not mastering her powers and scolds the dwarf elves for misusing their abilities. Upon Lord Malice's attack on Snow White in Mother Nature's garden, Mother Nature surrounds her corporeal self with massive amounts of electrical energy and blasts Lord Malice out of the air. She then creates a divide in the land with a flick of her hand so he cannot get to them. Mother Nature is a supporting character in the Santa Claus 2 and the Santa Claus 3, The Escape Clause, portrayed by Aisha Tyler. She is showed as the head leader of the Council of Legendary Figures, which also consists of Santa Claus, Easter Bunny, Cupid, Father Time, Sandman, Tooth Fairy, and Jack Frost.
That's good on that. So we see what this Mother Nature is all about. And they got you believing it. They say it in the news all the time, Mother Nature. She ain't got nothing to do with no snowstorm. It's all about God. But because they have watered down Christianity, you can't attribute none of this catastrophic stuff to the God. It's impossible. It can't happen. So let's make up something and say, okay, but what you making up, you don't know you accustomed to that. And half the people that say this Mother Nature, I guarantee you they go to church on Sunday. Sun worshipers. Just another form of paganism. One more spot to show you where this paganism comes from. It ain't nothing but witchcraft. Because these Wiccans, all they deal with is the... But we're going to read it. Go ahead. Read what's in yellow.
Wicca, English pronunciation Wicca, is a modern pagan witchcraft religion. It was developed in England during the first half of the 20th century and was introduced to the public in 1954 by Gerald Gardner, a retired British civil servant. It draws upon a diverse set of ancient pagan and 20th century Hermetic motifs for its theological structure and ritual practice.
So it's a combination of ancient pagan stuff and this updated witchcraft, which are these beautiful women running around here now. white magic and black magic. Black magic is bad, white magic is good, but it's all magic, and magic is witchcraft. Keep reading.
The word witch derives from Middle English wicke, Old English wicke, witch, and Wicca, wizard. Wicca is a diverse religion with no central authority figure defining it. It is divided into various lineages and denominations, referred to as traditions,
Just like Christianity, huh?
each with its own organizational structure and level of centralization. Due to its decentralized nature, there is some disagreement over what actually constitutes Wicca.
Just like Christianity. All these different denominations, can't none of them agree on nothing. That's how Satan is. He will divide you. Satan is the author of confusion. Go ahead.
Some traditions, collectively referred to as British traditional Wicca, strictly follow the initiatory lineage of Gardner and consider the term Wicca to apply only to such lineage traditions, while other eclectic traditions do not. Wicca is typically duotheistic, worshiping a god and goddess traditionally viewed as a mother goddess or horned god. These two deities are sometimes viewed as facets of a greater pantheistic godhead. However, beliefs range from hard polytheism to even monotheism. Wiccan celebrations follow approximately 8 seasonally based festivals known as Sabbats. An unattributed statement known as the Wiccan Rede is the traditional basis of Wiccan morality. Wicca often involves the ritual practice of magic, though it is not always necessary.
Read some more. God and goddesses. We're going to be wrapping it up here shortly. Go ahead.
The god and goddesses. For most Wiccans, the god and goddesses are seen as complementary polarities in the universe that balance one another out. And in this manner, they have been compared to the concept of yin and yang found in Taoism. As such, they are often interpreted as being embodiments of a life force manifest in nature, with some Wiccans believing that they are symbolic of these polarities, whilst others believing that the god and goddesses are genuine beings that exist independently. The two divinities are often given symbolic associations, with the goddess commonly being symbolized as Earth, i.e. Mother Earth, but also sometimes as the moon, which complements the god being viewed as the sun.
Okay, that's good on that. Let's look at this horned god. Let's look about horns. This is where you get that word from. Keep reading.
Traditionally, the god is viewed as a horned god, associated with nature, wilderness, sexuality, hunting, and the life cycle.
Wait a minute, what? Horned god is what? Sexuality? Wildness? That's where you get horny from. Think about it. What is it? Wildness, sexuality, nature, running free. That's enough on that. I just threw that one in there. But it's all witchcraft. Now let's get back to the book, Deuteronomy 10. See, some things we say and do that we don't even know where they come from. So we know Mother Nature's garbage. Witchcraft. Deuteronomy 10. Now let's see who run it. 10 and 14, read it.
Behold, the heaven and the heaven of heavens is the Lord thy God's, the earth also with all that in there is, therein is.
So the heavens and the heavens is the Lord's, thy God, and the earth also, and all that therein is. Everything is subject to the Lord. Even down to the fire ant that comes in swarms and will bite you. And if you get enough bites, you'll be dead. So everything is controlled by the Lord. 1 Chronicles 16. Ain't no Mother Nature. It's on every channel, Mother Nature. Even the people talking about, interview people, Mother Nature. Please. 1 Chronicles 16. Let's look at this. 16 and 25. Start at 25. Go ahead.
For great is the Lord, and greatly to be praised. He also is to be feared above all gods. For all the gods of the people are idols, but the Lord made the heavens.
That's right. Go ahead.
Glory and honor are in his presence. Strength and gladness are in his place.
Don't give no credit to a false god. Give credit to the Lord. That blizzard, praise the Lord. Hurricane, praise the Lord. He did it. Go ahead.
Give unto the Lord, ye kindreds of the people. Give unto the Lord glory and strength. Give unto the Lord the glory due unto his name. Bring an offering and come before him. Worship the Lord in the beauty of holiness. Fear before him all the earth. The world also shall be stable, that it be not moved. Let the heavens be glad, and let the earth rejoice, and let men say among the nations, the Lord reigneth. Let the sea roar, and the fullness thereof. Let the fields rejoice, and all that is therein. Then shall the trees of the wood sing out of the presence of the Lord, because he cometh to judge the earth. O give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good, for his mercy endureth forever.
That's right. Give thanks unto the Lord. Go to flip over to Psalm 24. So we see who runs, who controls this. The Lord do. It's no secret amongst the servants of the Lord. We know this. But because the average Christian don't want to stand in the gap for the Lord, they go along with the world. It's okay to say Mother Nature did it and then go to church on Sunday. That's all right. It's all good, ain't it? Psalm 24, verses 1 and 2. Read it.
The earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof, the world and they that dwell therein.
So the earth is whose? The Lord's. And the fullness thereof, the world, and they that dwell therein. Go ahead.
For he hath founded it upon the seas, and established it upon the floods.
Okay, let's go to Job. Flip back to Job 40. We just letting you know who run it, and then we're going to show you how he run it. Job 40. Job 40. It's a pretty short lesson. We'll be out of here in no time. Job 40. And pick it up at verse 1. Go ahead.
Moreover, the Lord answered Job and said, Shall he that contendeth with the Almighty instruct him? He that reproveth God, let him answer it.
So Job, he got a little self-righteous, after all the stuff that happened to him. So the Lord had to, put him in check. So he said, moreover, the Lord answered Job and said, Look, shall he that contend with the Almighty instruct him? Like, man, you going to tell me what I need to do? I created you. Go ahead.
Then Job answered the Lord and said, Behold, I am vile. What shall I answer thee? I will lay mine hand upon my mouth. Once have I spoken, but I will not answer. Yea, twice, but I will proceed no further. Then answered the Lord unto Job out of the whirlwind and said.
So Job pretty much said, Lord, I'm going to keep my mouth shut. You can do all the talking. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Gird up thy loins now like a man. I will demand of thee, and declare thou unto me. Wilt thou also disannul my judgment? Wilt thou condemn me, that thou mayest be righteous? Hast thou an arm like God, or canst thou thunder with a voice like him? Deck thyself now with majesty and excellency, and array thyself with glory and beauty.
Skip down to verse 15.
Behold now Behemoth, which I made with thee. He eateth grass and as an ox.
So I don't know what this behemoth is. It's some big land animal. It definitely ain't no dinosaur. So he said, Behold Behemoth, which I made with thee. He eats grass just like an ox. Go ahead.
Lo, now his strength is in his loins, and his force is in the navel of his belly.
Skip down to verse 20. Go ahead.
Surely the mountains bring him forth food, where all the beasts of the field play. He lieth under the shady tree, in the covert of the reed and fens. The shady trees cover him with their shadows. The willows of the brooks compass him about. Behold, he drinketh up a river and hasteth not. He trusteth that he can draw up Jordan into his mouth. He taketh it with his eyes, his nose pierced through snares.
So the Lord created this behemoth, and he takes care of it. He ain't got to worry about nothing. The Lord provides him with fields from the grass from the fields and plenty of water to drink. Go right into Job 41 and pick it up at verse 1. Go ahead.
Canst thou draw out Leviathan with an hook, or his tongue with a cord which thou lettest down?
So this Leviathan's got to be something big. And he's saying, can you fish him out with a hook? That's like trying to catch a whale, go fishing for a whale. You can't do it, not with no fishing pole. But the Lord can do it. Go ahead.
Canst thou put an hook into his nose, or bore his jaw through with a thorn? Will he make many supplications unto thee? Will he speak soft words unto thee? Will he make a covenant with thee? Wilt thou take him for a servant forever? Wilt thou play with him as with a bird, or wilt thou bind him for thy maidens? Shall thy companions make a banquet of him? Shall they part him among the merchants? Canst thou fill his skin with barbed irons, or his head with fish spears? Lay thine hand upon him, remember the battle, do no more. Behold, the hope of him is in vain. Shall not one be cast down even at the sight of him? None is so fierce that dare stir him up. Who then is able to stand before me? Who hath prevented me that I should repay him? Whatsoever is under the whole heaven is mine.
So every answer to that question that the Lord was petitioning to Job is nope, I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. And the final statement is, look, whatsoever is under the whole heaven is mine. I can do what I want to do because I run it. Let's go to Job 38. Flip back to Job 38. The Lord said a mouthful to Job. But don't nobody want to read it because it's the Old Testament. Apparently hurricanes that happen in the Old Testament don't happen nowadays. What about this one that just knocked off, what was it, Katrina? All that stuff that happened down there, and then they just had another one. All these hurricanes, like, the Lord don't do it. They got to blame it on something else instead of giving the blame to where it belongs. Give God his glory. Job 38 and verse 1, read it.
Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind and said, Who is this that darkeneth counsel by words without knowledge? Gird up now thy loins like a man, for I will demand of thee, and answer thou me. Where wast thou when I laid the foundations of the earth? Declare, if thou hast understanding. Who laid the measures thereof, if thou knowest? Or who hath stretched the line upon it? Whereupon are the foundations thereof fastened? Or who laid the cornerstone thereof? When the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy? Or who shut up the sea with doors when it brake forth, as if it had issued out of the womb?
And that's why I figured out where the term when your water break come from, right here. Keep reading.
When I made the cloud the garment thereof, and the thick darkness a swaddling band for it, and break up for it my decreed place, and set bars and doors, and said, Hitherto shalt thou come, but no further, and here shall thy proud waves be stayed.
Okay, that's good. I read a little too much, but skip down to verse 17 and read it.
Have the gates of death been opened unto thee? Or hast thou seen the doors of the shadow of death? Hast thou perceived the breadth of the earth?
Skip down to 25.
Declare if thou knowest it at all. Who hath divided a watercourse for the overflowing of waters, or a way for the lightning of thunder?
So who creates the lightning and the thunder? The Lord. It's not Mother Nature. This is God doing this. Go ahead.
To cause it to rain on the earth where no man is, on the wilderness wherein there is no man, to satisfy the desolate and waste ground, and to cause the bud of the tender herb to spring forth. Hath the rain a father, or who hath begotten the drops of dew? Out of whose womb came the ice, and the hoary frost of heaven, who hath gendered it?
Skip down to verse 33 and read it.
Knowest thou the ordinances of heaven? Canst thou set the dominion thereof in the earth? Canst thou lift up thy voice to the clouds, that abundance of water may cover thee? Canst thou send lightnings that they may go, and say unto thee, here we are? Who hath put wisdom in the inward parts? Or who hath given understanding to the heart?
39, read it.
Wilt thou hunt the prey for the lion, or fill the appetite of the young lions?
So when you gonna hunt for the lion and try to feed him? No. He gonna eat what you give him and eat you too. The lion can fend for himself because the Lord takes care of him just like he take care of you. I ain't worried about the lion if he ain't eating. You see them, you ever watch them documentaries where they shoot them lions? They be watching them for 2 years sometimes. And some lions, they ain't eating and they get frail and skinny. Cameraman filming all of it. He ain't stupid. Let the Lord deal with animals just like he did with man, but they call it nature. They call it nature, but I'm quite sure if they'd have kept filming, eventually that lion would have got him something to eat, and you wouldn't have seen his ribs no more. But keep reading.
When they couch in their dens, and abide in the covert to lie in wait, who provideth for the raven his food? When his young ones cry unto God, they wander for lack of meat.
So the Lord even feed the ravens. He feed the birds too, because he run it. Job 39. Start at verse 1. Read it.
Knowest thou the time when the wild goats of the rock bring forth? Or canst thou mark when the hinds do calve? Canst thou number the months that they fulfill? Or knowest thou the time when they bring forth? They bow themselves, they bring forth their young ones, they cast out their sorrows. Their young ones are in good liking, they grow up with corn, they go forth and return not unto them. Who hath sent out the wild as free, or who hath loosed the bands of the wild ass? Whose house have I made the wilderness, and the barren land his dwellings?
So the Lord take care of the donkey and the goat too. The Lord run it. Skip down to verse 19 and read it.
Hast thou given the horse strength? Hast thou closed his neck with thunder? Canst thou make him afraid as a grasshopper? The glory of his nostrils is terrible. He parteth in the valley and rejoiceth in his strength. He goeth on to meet the armed men. He mocketh at fear and is not affrighted, neither turneth he back from the sword.
So you got them, remember before they started creating them tanks and everything? Everybody rode into battle on what? A horse. Horse didn't have no sense. He didn't know what he was doing. If he'd have known he was going into battle and had a chance of getting killed, you think that horse would have bucked them off and went back the other way. But this is the Lord. This is the Lord doing it. Go ahead.
The quiver rattleth against him, the glittering spear and the shield. He swalloweth the ground with fierceness and rage. Neither believeth he that is the sound of the trumpet. He saith among the trumpets, Ha, ha, and he smelleth the battle afar off, the thunder of the captains and the shouting. Doth the hawk fly by thy wisdom, and stretch her wings toward the south? Doth the eagle mount up at thy command, and make her nest on high? She dwelleth and abideth on the rock, upon the crag of the rock and the strong place. From thence she seeketh the prey, and her eyes behold afar off. Her young ones also suck up blood, and where the slain are, there is she.
So we see the Lord take care of the eagles and the hawks. He run it. All the inhabitants of the earth are subject to God. Flip over to Psalm 104, because he is king over all this earth. He run it. Psalm 104. And pick it up at verse 1. Psalm 104 and verse 1. Okay, read.
Bless the Lord, O my soul. O Lord my God, thou art very great. Thou art clothed with honor and majesty, who coverest thyself with light as with a garment, who stretcheth out the heavens like a curtain, who layeth the beams of his chambers in the waters, who maketh the clouds his chariot, who walketh upon the wings of the wind, who maketh his angels spirits, his ministers a flaming fire, who laid the foundation of the earth, that it should not be removed forever. Thou coverest it with the deep, as with a garment. The water stood above the mountains. At thy rebuke they fled. At the voice of thy thunder they hasted away. They go up by the mountains, they go down by the valleys, unto the place which thou hast founded for them. Thou hast set a bound that they may not pass over, that they turn not again to cover the earth.
Now, here we're talking about water, the flow of water. The Bible says, you covers it with the garment, the deep, as with the garment, the water stood above the mountains. At thy rebuke they fled. They go up by the mountains, they go down by the valleys into the place which thou hast founded them. And the Lord has set a bound that they may not pass over, that they turn not again to cover the earth. Because we know the Lord, we're going to read where he set a flood and drowned everybody. And he made a covenant with mankind that he will not do that again. And he put that bow in the cloud to let you know that. So when you out there on the beach, if some of y'all do go to the beach, there's a reason why the water comes in at a certain point and then goes right back. The Lord has set the bound. If he wanted to go further, believe me, it will go further. It's his choice. But keep reading.
He sendeth the springs into the valleys which run among the hills. They give drink to every beast of the field. The wild asses quench their thirst. By them shall the fowls of the heaven have their habitation, which sing among the branches.
So before they made bird houses, everybody like to feed these wild birds. They was being taken care of before you decided to do it. Keep reading.
He watereth the hills from his chambers. The earth is satisfied with the fruit of thy works. He causeth the grass to grow for the cattle, and herb for the service of man, that he may bring forth food out of the earth, and wine that maketh glad the heart of man, and oil to make his face to shine, and bread which strengtheneth man's heart.
We ain't talking about no marijuana either. Herb and wine. I can see some brothers trying to twist it up. Go ahead.
The trees of the Lord are full of sap, the cedars of Lebanon which he hath planted. Where the birds make their nests, as for the stork, the fir trees are her house. The high hills are a refuge for the wild goats, and the rocks for the conies. He appointed the moon for seasons. The sun knoweth his going down.
So it's no coincidence that the moon comes up and goes down as well as the sun. The Lord appointed it for its season, not to be worshipped, but for signs and for seasons. You know it's daylight out there when you see the sun. Sometimes you don't even see the sun, but you still know it's daylight. Sometimes you don't see the moon, but you still know it's dark. Keep reading.
Thou makest darkness, and it is night, wherein all the beasts of the forest do creep forth. The young lions roar after their prey, and they seek their meat from God.
So who feed the lions? That's right. Keep reading.
The sun ariseth, they gather themselves together, and lay them down in their dens.
So the lions don't need no alarm clock. They know when they get dark, it's time to eat. When the daylight comes, they sleep during the day. Keep reading.
Man goeth forth unto his work, and to his labor until the evening.
Now, back in the day, they used to do that. Now they don't. We got, 8-hour jobs? Some of us. 12. But it used to be what? You knew when it's time to quit working when the sun went down, because you couldn't see no more. So man has got the same sense. Man goeth forth unto his work and his labor until the evening. Go ahead.
O Lord, how manifold are thy works! In wisdom hast thou made them all. The earth is full of thy riches. So is the great and wide sea, wherein all things creeping innumerable, both small and great beasts.
So is the great and wide sea, with all things creeping are innumerable. There's so many things in that ocean. Man ain't discovered them yet, because he can't go down to the deepest part, because the pressure's too great. He can send something down there to look. And they've discovered some things down there, but they can't go down there, because they'll be crushed. And that's how the Lord fixed it. Let's go to Jonah chapter 1. Jonah chapter 1. So we read all this good stuff about who controls everything. It's God, Mother Nature. But the world is fixated on paganism. Paganism is good. They've cleaned it up, made it acceptable, made fun of it, make comedy things about it to make light of it so it'll be all right. Got these kids with fairies. Fairies are demons. Mermaids, demons. Disney, demon. That movie, look at that cartoon, what was it, Fantasia, with Mickey Mouse. Look at it real close when you see it. Really satanic. And that was back in the what, 40s and 50s when it came out? I don't know when it came out. But they knew what they was doing. And now they're getting to the kids. They done cleaned up. It's all white magic now. The good magic. Let's go to Jonah chapter 1 and look at this real quick. Jonah 1 and verse 1, read it.
Now the word of the Lord came unto Jonah the son of Amittai, saying, Arise, go to Nineveh, that great city, and cry against it, for their wickedness is come up before me.
So the Lord told Jonah, go to Nineveh and preach to it, because they wicked. What did Jonah do? Go ahead.
But Jonah rose up to flee unto Tarshish from the presence of the Lord, and went down to Joppa, and he found a ship going to Tarshish.
So Jonah booked up, he ran and booked him a cruise. Go ahead.
So he paid the fare thereof, and went down into it, to go with them unto Tarshish from the presence of the Lord. But the Lord sent out a great wind into the sea, and there was a mighty tempest in the sea, so that the ship was like to be broken.
So the Lord sent a hurricane to shake that ship up. This is what the book say. The Lord sent this. Go ahead.
Then the mariners were afraid, and cried every man unto his God, and cast forth the wares that were in the ship into the sea, to lighten it of them. But Jonah was gone down into the sides of the ship as he lay, and was fast asleep.
So the mariners were scared, because Mother Nature ain't never did this, not at this time. Something's going on. So they crying to their gods, but Jonah chilling, because he know what's going on. He down there, ain't nothing where he ain't worried about nothing. Keep reading.
So the shipmaster came to him and said unto him, O what meanest thou, O sleeper? Arise, call upon thy God, if so be that God will think upon us, that we perish not.
So he told him, look, sleeper, get up, call upon your God. Get us some help, because Mother Nature ain't listening to us. You the only one that ain't scared. Go ahead.
And they said every one to his fellow, Come, and let us cast lots, that we may know for whose cause this evil is upon us. So they cast lots, and the lot fell upon Jonah. Then said they unto him, Tell us, we pray thee, for whose cause this evil is upon us? What is thine occupation, and whence comest thou? What is thy country, and of what people art thou?
So when the lots fell on Jonah, they knew he was the cause of it. 20 questions right off the bat. Man, who are you? Where you come from? What is your job? What did he say? Verse 9.
And he said unto them, I am an Hebrew, and I fear the Lord, the God of heaven, which hath made the sea and the dry land.
He said, look, I'm a Hebrew, and I fear the Lord God of heaven, which made the sea and the dry land. Verse 10.
Then were the men exceedingly afraid, and said unto him, Why hast thou done this? For the men knew that he fled from the presence of the Lord, because he had told them.
So now they knew he was in trouble. Like, this ain't Mother Nature. This is the one true living God that's doing this to us. And it's your fault, partner. We got to do something with you. So they was going to throw him overboard. But that was their last resort, because they tried to row the ship so it wouldn't hit the land, but they wasn't having it. Jonah was the last resort. And what did they do to him? Skip down to verse 14. Read it.
Wherefore they cried unto the Lord, and said, We beseech thee, O Lord, we beseech thee, let us not perish for this man's life, and lay not upon us innocent blood. For thou, O Lord, hast done as it pleased thee. So they took up Jonah and cast him forth into the sea, and the sea ceased from her raging.
So once they dumped Jonah overboard, all of a sudden it became calm. Because he told them, look, you want this stuff to stop? Throw me overboard. But They didn't believe him until they finally threw him overboard, and everything was cool. Calm seas. Verse 16, read it.
Then the men feared the Lord exceedingly and offered a sacrifice unto the Lord and made vows.
So they turned away from their mother nature. Said, okay, we know who's running this now. Go to Acts 27. Acts 27. That's why I say every tropical storm and every hurricane should be named Jesus. You ain't got to go through the alphabet no more. Or if you want to be fancy, call them, Jesus. Do them in every language. Hurricane Yeshua. Pick a language, but it's all going to be attributed to God. Acts 27, start at verse 9. Read it.
Now when much time was spent, and while sailing was now dangerous, because the fast was now already past, Paul admonished them, and said unto them, Sirs, I perceive that this voyage will be with hurt and much damage, not only of the lading and ship, but also of our lives.
So Paul is giving them warning. He said, look, I don't think we need to, pull out this time, because something's going to go down. So let's just chill for a couple days. But they didn't listen. Verse 11.
Nevertheless, the centurion believed the master and the owner of the ship more than those things which were spoken by Paul. And because the heaven was not commodious to the winter in, the more part advised to depart thence also, if by any means they might attain to Phoenice and there to winter, which is an haven of Crete, and lieth towards the south, west, and northwest.
So because this wasn't hurricane season, they was like, we're going to pull out anyway. Forget you, Paul. You really don't know what you're talking about. Go ahead.
And when the south wind blew swiftly, supposing that they had obtained their purpose, losing thence, they sailed close by Crete.
So when the south wind blew softly, so they got a nice cool breeze going. They was right. Paul, you was wrong. We was right. But then what happened? Verse 15, go ahead. 14.
But not long after there arose against it a tempestuous wind called Euroclydon.
So not long after that, here come a hurricane. So they was naming hurricanes back then. This ain't nothing new. This was Hurricane Euroclydon. Go ahead.
And when the ship was caught and could not bear up into the wind, we let her drive. And running under a certain island, which is called Clauda, we had much work to come by with the boat, which when they had taken up, they used helps, undergirding the ship, and fearing lest they should fall into the quicksands, strake sail, and so were driven.
So that hurricane is tossing them back and forth, and they doing everything they can not to get shipwrecked. Go ahead.
And we being exceedingly tossed with a tempest, the next day they lightened the ship.
So they started throwing stuff overboard. Go ahead.
And the third day we cast with our own hands the tackling of the ship. And when neither sun nor stars in many days appeared, and no small tempest lay on us, all hope that we should be saved was then taken away.
So when they couldn't see no sun or no stars, 'cause that's how they navigated back then. So now and the wind and the water's just tossing them like crazy. They don't know where they at. So they lost all hope that we should be saved was taken away. 21, go ahead.
But after long abstinence, Paul stood forth in the midst of them and said, Sirs.
Long abstinence. Now, Paul was chilling, just like Jonah, because he told them, don't sail this ship. So while all this stuff is going on, Paul ain't up there on the deck trying to throw stuff off. He down in the gallows chilling. So after a long abstinence, he came up and he told them, look, I told y'all, but you didn't listen. Go ahead.
Ye should have hearkened unto me and not have loosed from Crete, and to have gained this harm and loss. And now I exhort you to be of good cheer, for there shall be no loss of any man's life among you, but of the ship. For there stood by me this night the angel of God, whose I am, and whom I serve, saying, Fear not, Paul, thou must be brought before Caesar, and lo, God hath given thee all them that sail with thee. Wherefore, sirs, be of good cheer, for I believe God, that it shall be even as it was told me.
Paul told him, look, I got to get to Caesar. That's why y'all going to be saved, because the angel told me that everybody's going to be saved, but y'all going to lose the ship because you didn't listen. I'm taking the ship, but I'm going to save y'all's life. So be thankful for that. Let's go to Matthew 8. Matthew chapter 8. So we see hurricanes happen back then, and they happen now. But it ain't Mother Nature that's doing it. It's the Lord. You can have a tropical storm, which is a low-level hurricane, or you can have a category, 5, that'll just tear up everything. It all depends on what the Lord wants. But he's still running. Matthew 8, verse 23, read it.
And when he was entered into a ship, his disciples followed him. And behold, there arose a great tempest in the sea, insomuch that the ship was covered with the waves, but he was asleep.
So now here's another hurricane. And this time Jesus is on the boat. But he down there asleep. But everybody else is scared. Go ahead.
And his disciples came to him and awoke him, saying, Lord, save us, we perish. And he saith unto them, Why are ye fearful, O ye of little faith? Then he arose and rebuked the winds and the sea, and there was a great calm.
So he's like, why y'all scared, man? What's wrong with you? So he stood up and said, look, wind and sea, be quiet. I'm trying to sleep. And what happened? Everything was calm. And why not? Why could they had to listen to him because he's the one that created it. This wasn't no Mother Nature. Let's go to Genesis 6. One more verse. Read that.
But the men marveled, saying, What manner of man is this, that even the winds and sea obey him?
What manner of man is this? This is God in the flesh. The one that created the heavens and the earth. So everything has to listen to him, even the wind. Genesis 6. Let's look at what he did back in the beginning here, when he brought this flood upon the earth. Genesis 6. Don't nothing change. Tsunamis will take under a whole town, but they won't take over the whole world. The whole world won't be flooded, but parts of your country will. That's why he put the bow up there, to let you know he won't drown the whole world no more. But that don't mean he won't get you individually. But then they done took that rainbow and turned it into something else. Abominations of abominations. And the world is going along with it. Genesis 6 and verse 5. Go ahead.
And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth.
Just like it is today. Go ahead.
And that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually.
Just like today. Go ahead.
And it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing and the fowls of the air, for it repented me that I have made them.
Now the Lord was sorry he made man, because man had corrupted everything. So it's time for man to go. Verse 8.
But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord.
But one man walked perfect with the Lord. And through that one man, that's why we're here sitting today. Skip down to verse 11, because he told him to make an ark, because I'm going to kill everybody. Go ahead.
The earth also was corrupt before God, and the earth was filled with violence.
Just like today. Ain't nothing changed. But the Lord ain't going to drown us. He going to burn us. Keep reading.
And God looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth. And God said unto Noah, The end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them, and behold, I will destroy them with the earth. Make thee an ark of gopher wood. Room shalt thou make in the ark, and shalt pitch it within and without pitch.
So he told him to make an ark, because I'm getting ready to drown everything. Verse 17, read it.
And behold, I, even I, do bring a flood of waters upon the earth, to destroy all flesh, wherein is the breath of life, from under heaven, and everything that is in the earth shall die.
So who brought this flood? That's right. Jesus brought this flood. Don't be fooled. Mother Nature ain't got nothing to do with this. We ain't read Mother Nature not one time in this. Everything is coming from the Lord. Let's go to Genesis 7 and one verse, verse 11. So the Lord drowned everything. Let's see how he did it, verse 11. Go ahead.
In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, the 17th day of the month, the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened.
So the same day, the 600th year of Noah's life, because you can't rain, I don't care, 40 days of rain will not flood the whole earth. The Lord had to open them windows. So all them that water that's above the firmament, he opened them windows. It rained. The fountains of the deep was broken up, because the earth ain't nothing but sitting out of the water anyway. So the fountains of the deep was broken up, so everything was coming here, and it was coming up. And the water was above the highest mountains. That was a whole lot of water. But the Lord did it. Let's go to Job 37. Flip over to Job 37. So we see who controls the weather. It's the Lord. Just like all them satellites, and they can predict the weather. But your predictions can be wrong. You could predict 3 feet of snow, just like they shut New York down. They was expecting 3 feet of snow. They only got 15 inches. They could survive 15 inches of snow, but they shut the mass transit system down because the weatherman said, y'all going to have over 2 feet of snow. But the Lord said, nope, I'm going to give y'all 15 to let you know I'll run it. (37:1), read it.
At this also my heart trembleth, and is moved out of his place. Hear attentively the noise of his voice, and the sound that goeth out of his mouth. He directeth it under the whole heaven, and his lightning unto the ends of the earth. After it a voice roareth, he thundereth with the voice of his excellency, and he will not stay them with the voice when his voice is heard. God thundereth marvelously with his voice. Great things doeth he, which we cannot comprehend.
That's right. Go ahead.
For he saith to the snow, be thou on the earth, likewise to the small rain, and to the great rain of his strength.
So he could say to the snow, snow be on the earth, and it'll snow. You can get frost on the ground, or you can get 3 feet. It all depends on the Lord. Just like small rain, it can rain light, or it could rain cats and dogs. I ain't too sure about that one either. But that's something we always say, huh? We're like, where'd that come from? How is it raining cats and dogs? I used to think it would rain worms, because every time you get a good rain, you see a lot of worms. I used to think it was raining worms. But anyway, keep reading. We finished there? Okay, let's go to Jonah chapter 2. Let's go back to Jonah. So we dealt with the weather a little bit. And we see how the Lord, he feed the lion. Sometimes he'll feed the lion the antelope. Sometimes he'll feed you the lion. Sometimes a shark will eat another fish. Sometimes a shark will eat you. It depends on the Lord, because he run it. Jonah chapter 2. So they threw Jonah overboard, and everything was calm. Jonah thought he was scot-free, but the Lord had other plans for him. I tell you what, this is what I'm going to do for you. Jonah chapter 2. We're going to start at verse 1, but I want to read verse 17 in chapter 1 to let you know what happened to Jonah after they threw him overboard. Jonah 1, verse 17. Read that.
Now the Lord had prepared a great fish to swallow up Jonah. And Jonah was in the belly of the fish 3 days and 3 nights.
So who prepared this fish to swallow up Jonah? The Lord did it, right? He sent that fish over there and said, go swallow this dude up. Go ahead.
Then Jonah prayed unto the Lord his God out of the fish's belly.
Now he's doing some heavy praying because he's still alive. He's praying to his God out of the fish of the belly. Go ahead.
And said, I cried by reason of mine affliction unto the Lord, and he heard me. Out of the belly of hell I cried I, and thou heardest my voice. For thou hast cast me into the deep, into the midst of the seas, and the floods compassed me about, and all thy billows and thy waves passed over me. Then said I am cast out of thy sight, yet I will look again toward thy holy temple.
So even though Jonah didn't know where the temple was, he was trying his best. Because he knew, face that direction, and I might get some kind of answer to my prayer. So he had some kind of sense, and the Lord heard his prayer, because the Bible tells you that. He'll hear your prayer. But you got to be in the right mind. So he heard his prayer in verse 10. Go ahead.
And the Lord spake unto the fish, and it vomited out Jonah upon the dry land.
So we see the Lord can speak fish, because the book says he spoke to the fish. I don't know what fish language is, but the Lord does. When you hear them birds in the morning when they singing and talking to each other, I don't have a clue. I know they wake you up. But I don't have a clue what they saying to each other back and forth, but the Lord do, because he created all the languages. So we see the Lord can speak fish because he told that fish throw him up. And the fish did it. Let's see what else the Lord can speak. Go to 1 Kings 13. 1 Kings 13. Because if he can put fear in a horse to where they can go into battle with no fear, then I'm quite sure he can speak the language of any creature that's on this earth. Now, he will send a pit bull for you. He'll send a snake for you to bite you. He'll send a shark to eat you. That's what killed me. Them people out there swimming, surfing. All it takes is one time for me to live through a shark attack, and I would never go in the water again. Shark bit this girl's arm off. She's still out there surfing. Even made a movie about it. Gentiles are crazy. What'd I say? 1 Kings 13?
Yes.
Yeah. Ain't no way I'll be out there. 13:1, read it.
And behold, there came a man of God out of Judah by the word of the Lord unto Bethel, and Jeroboam stood by the altar to burn incense.
So now this is a man of God. He's a prophet. The Lord gave him a message to send to Jeroboam, and he did his job. Go ahead.
And he cried against the altar in the word of the Lord, and said, O altar, altar, thus saith the Lord, behold, a child shall be born unto the house of David, Josiah by name, and upon thee shall he offer the priests of the high places that burn incense upon thee, and men's bones shall be burnt upon thee.
So he gave him a sign what was going to happen. Josiah was going to be born. And during that time, Jeroboam's hand got healed. And he was grateful for that. Skip down to verse 7 and read it.
And the king said unto the man of God, come home with me and refresh thyself, and I will give thee a reward. And the man of God said unto the king, if thou wilt give me half thine house, I will not go in with thee, neither will I eat bread nor drink water in this place. For so it was charged me by the word of the Lord, saying, eat no bread nor drink water, nor turn again by the same way that thou camest. So he went another way and returned not by the way that he came to Bethel.
So the man had some strict orders. You do this for Jeroboam and get out. Don't stick around, don't eat no bread, don't drink no water. Go on about your business. And that's what he told him. He said, look, I don't care if you give me half your house. I ain't staying here. So he went on about his way. Verse 11, go ahead. 14. Skip down to 14. Go ahead. No, keep reading.
Now there dwelt an old prophet in Bethel, and his sons came and told him all the works that the man of God had done that day in Bethel. The words which he had spoken unto the king, them they told also to their father.
So now this prophet and his two sons heard what they had did, what the man of God had did. So they told their daddy, and his daddy wanted to see this cat. Skip down to verse 14 and read it.
And went after the man of God, and found him sitting under an oak. And he said unto him, Art thou the man of God that camest from Judah? And he said, I am.
So they went looking for the dude, and they found him. And he asked him, You the man of God? He was sitting under the shade tree, the oak tree. And he said unto him, Art thou the man of God? And he said, Yes, I am. Keep reading.
Then he said unto him, Come home with me, and eat bread. And he said, I may not return with thee, nor go in with thee, neither will I eat bread, nor drink water with thee in this place. For it was said to me by the word of the Lord, Thou shalt eat no bread, nor drink water there, nor turn again to go by the way that thou camest.
So he told him the same spiel. He said, Look, I can't do it. The Lord told me don't eat no water here, don't eat no bread, don't drink no water, but just keep us moving. Go ahead.
He said unto him, I am a prophet also, as thou art. And an angel spoke unto me by the word of the Lord, saying, Bring him back with thee into thine house, that he may eat bread and drink water. But he lied unto him.
But he lied. It sounded good, though. I'm a prophet too, man. And the angel told me to come and get you. But who told you the message from the beginning? The Lord did. But it tells you the man lied. Keep reading.
So he went back with him, and did eat bread in his house, and drank water. And it came to pass, as they sat at the table, that the word of the Lord came unto the prophet that brought him back. And he cried unto the man of God that came from Judah, saying, Thus saith the Lord, Forasmuch as thou hast disobeyed the mouth of the Lord, and hast not kept the commandment which the Lord thy God commanded thee, but camest back, and hast eaten bread and drunk water in thy place, of the which the Lord did say to thee, Eat no bread, and drink no water, thy carcass shall not come upon the sepulchre of thy fathers.
So just because you disobeyed me, you're going to die. You ain't gonna get home to be buried next to your people. You're going to die because you disobeyed. How much more so for everybody else that's out here disobeying the commandments of God? We all going to die in one way, form, or another. But you definitely don't want to die like this cat died. Keep reading.
And it came to pass, after he had eaten bread, and after he had drunk, that he saddled for him the ass, to wit, for the prophet whom he had brought back.
I don't know how he could eat after hearing them words. But apparently he was hungry. So he ate, and what else? Verse 24.
And when he was gone, a lion met him by the way, and slew him, and his carcass was cast in the way, and the ass stood by it. The lion also stood by the carcass.
So you know this was the hand of the Lord. Because a lion met him, killed him, didn't mess with the donkey. Because that's what lions eat, don't they? Donkeys. So he killed him, and the donkey's just sitting there eating some grass, and the lion is just sitting there too. And people just walking by like, what's going on? The lion ain't messing with them. He just guarding what he killed. Verse 25, read it.
And behold, men passed by and saw the carcass cast in the way, and the lion standing by the carcass. And they came and told it in the city where the old prophet dwelt. And when the prophet that brought him back from the way heard thereof, he said, It is the man of God who was disobedient unto the word of the Lord. Therefore the Lord hath delivered him unto the lion, which hath torn him and slain him, according to the word of the Lord which he spake unto him.
So who delivered him under that lion? The Lord did. And this was a righteous man. So if the Lord would kill a righteous man with a lion, don't you think he'd kill a wicked man too? With no problem. Just like Mr. Who's the dude, the crocodile man, out there swimming with the stingray. Stingray stung him in his chest. As many times he been out there wrestling with them crocodiles, he got killed by a fish. I could have seen him getting torn to pieces, all them slipping, messing with them crocodiles, but no, he out there swimming with a fish. And he got stung right in his heart and died. It's the hand of the Lord. Let's go to 2 Kings, chapter 17. Let's look at something else the Lord did with some lions. And don't nothing change. They don't call them man-eating lions for nothing. They even made a movie about them two man-eating lions. What was it? White Ghost or something? Yeah. Them lions just terrorized that whole village. And they sent 2 Gentiles in there with some guns. That's going to take them out. Please. But the Gentiles run it, don't they? They run it. You need some help? Call them. 2 Kings 17. So this one, Israel, the 10 tribes got taken out by the Assyrians. And when the Assyrians took them out of Samaria, they brought some other people in. 2 Kings 17, verse 5. Read it.
Then the king of Assyria came up throughout all the land and went up to Samaria and besieged it 3 years. In the 9th year of Hoshea, the king of Assyria took Samaria and carried Israel away into Assyria and placed them in Halah and in Harbor by the river Gozan and in the city of the Medes.
So he took out the 10 tribes and brought somebody else into the land of Samaria. And when they got there, they knew something was wrong. Skip down to verse 24 and read it.
And the king of Assyria brought men from Babylon and from Cutha and from Ava and from Hamath and from Sepharvaim and placed them in the cities of Samaria instead of the children of Israel. And they possessed Samaria and dwelt in the cities thereof. And so it was at the beginning of their dwelling there that they feared not the Lord. Therefore the Lord sent lions among them, which slew some of them.
So these are some people that didn't fear the Lord. Died the same way. The Lord sent some lions in there to kill them too. So we see the Lord is not a respecter of persons. Keep reading.
Wherefore they spake to the king of Assyria, saying, the nations which thou hast removed and placed in the cities of Samaria know not the manner of the God of the land. Therefore he hath sent lions among them, and behold, they slay them, because they know not the manner of the God of the land. Then the king of Assyria commanded, saying, carry thither one of the priests whom ye brought from thence, and let them go and dwell there, and let him teach them the manner of the God of the land. Then one of the priests whom they had carried away from Samaria came and dwelt in Bethel, and taught them how they should fear the Lord.
So they knew them lions they knew a God was sending them lions for them. They had some kind of sense, and they knew that the people that they took out, somebody had to come and teach them how to serve this God, because this God is crazy. He's sending some lions to eat us, and we ain't did nothing. We just moved in, and we dying left and right by some lions. Let's go to Exodus chapter 8. So we see the Lord can speak lion too. He can speak fish. He can speak lion. Let's see what other language he can speak. Exodus 8. And pick it up at verse 5. We're going to hit and miss a little bit, and then we're going to start wrapping it up. Exodus 8 and verse 5. Okay, read it.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, say unto Aaron, stretch forth thine hand with thy rod over the streams, over the rivers, and over the ponds, and cause frogs to come up upon the land of Egypt. And Aaron stretched out his hand over the waters of Egypt, and the frogs came up and covered the land of Egypt.
So the Lord told Aaron, stretch your rod out and bring on the frogs. So the Lord can speak frog, because here they come. Skip down to verse 16 and read.
And the Lord did so, and there came a grievous swarm of flies into the house of... I'm sorry, you said
16. Yeah, man. No. 16, bro. 16. You caught yourself before you got fired. Go ahead.
Sorry about that. And the Lord said unto Moses, say unto Aaron, stretch out thy rod and smite the dust of the land, that it may become lice throughout all the land of Egypt.
So the Lord can speak lice. Verse 17, read it.
And they did so. For Aaron stretched out his hand with his rod and smote the dust of the earth, and it became lice in man and in beast. All the dust of the land became lice throughout all the land of Egypt.
21, read it.
Else, if thou would not let my people go, behold, I will send swarms of flies upon thee, and upon thy servants, and upon thy people, and into thy houses, and the houses of the Egyptians shall be full of swarms of flies, and also the ground whereon they are.
And I just get mad over a few flies. Can you imagine a swarm all in your house? But the Lord can speak fly, because he created the fly. 22, read that.
And I will sever in that day the land of Goshen, in which my people dwell, that no swarm of flies shall be there, to the end that thou mayest know that I am the Lord thy God in the midst of the earth.
I am the Lord thy God, where? In the midst of the earth, because I run it. I created this world. I'm king of this earth. That's what the title says. God is king over all the earth. Exodus chapter 9. Start at verse 3. Read it.
Behold, the hand of the Lord is upon the cattle which is in the field, upon the horses, upon the asses, upon the camels, upon the oxen, and upon the sheep. There shall be a very grievous murrain.
So the hand of the Lord is on the cattle, on the horses, on the asses, on the camels, the ox, and the sheep. What else?
And the Lord shall sever between the cattle of Israel and the cattle of Egypt, and there shall nothing die of all that is in the children, that is the children of Israel.
Skip down to verse 10.
And they took ashes of the furnace and stood before Pharaoh, and Moses sprinkled it up towards heaven, and it became a boil breaking forth with blains upon man and upon beast.
So all the animals and even on man had boils. What's that acne medicine? Proactive. Couldn't help this. Skip down to verse 22 and read it.
And the Lord said unto Moses, stretch forth thine hand towards heaven, that there may be hail in all the land of Egypt, upon man and upon beast, and upon every herb of the field throughout the land of Egypt.
So the Lord created hail too. What is that hail? Rock ice, ain't it? And it came from the Lord. 23, read that.
And Moses stretched forth his rod towards heaven, and the Lord sent thunder and hail, and the fire ran along upon the ground, and the Lord rained hail upon the land of Egypt.
Okay, let's go to Exodus 10. Exodus 10. See the hand of the Lord again. Verse 13, read it.
And Moses stretched forth his rod over the land of Egypt, and the Lord brought an east wind upon the land all that day and all that night. And when it was morning, the east wind brought the locusts. And the locusts went up over all the land of Egypt, and rested in all the coast of Egypt. Very grievous were they, because them there were no such locusts as they, neither after them shall be such.
So the Lord can speak locusts. And they got proof that locusts go in swarms. And when they come through there, they eat up everything and leave out. Surprised they could fly after that full belly, but it's the Lord orchestrating it. And they know. Because the Lord can speak locusts. Keep reading.
For they covered the face of the whole earth, so that the land was darkened. And they did eat every herb of the land, and all the fruit of the trees which the hail had left. And there remained not any green thing in the trees or in the herbs of the field throughout all the land of Egypt.
Okay, that's good on that. So them locusts ate up everything. Go to Psalm 78. To show you that this is what the Lord did. He did this. Psalm 78, verse 41. 78 and 41. This ain't no Mother Nature. We ain't read Mother Nature one time, except in that little handout. Mother Nature don't exist in this Bible. Psalm 78. And pick it up at verse 41. Okay, read it.
Yea, they turned back and tempted God, and limited the Holy One of Israel. They remembered not his hand, nor the day when he delivered them from the enemy. How he wrought his sign in Egypt, and his wonders in the field of Zoan. And he turned their rivers into blood, and their floods that they could not drink. He sent divers sorts of flies among them, which devoured them, and frogs which destroyed them. He gave also their increase unto the caterpillar, and their labor unto the locust. He destroyed their vines with hail, and their sycamore trees with frost.
So who is this he we talking about? It's the Lord. We just read that in Exodus. We just getting a recap here in Psalms. Go ahead.
He gave up their cattle also to the hail, and their flocks to hot thunderbolts. He cast upon them the fierceness of his anger, wrath, and indignation, and trouble, by sending evil angels among them.
Now we know the Lord don't lead the throne. He got all them angels, and they all got a job. So he sent them evil angels. We had one just for the frogs, one for the flies, one for the locusts, one for the lice, one to turn the rivers to blood. Because the book say evil angels, so it was plural. And we know 10 plagues fell up on Egypt. 3 of them fell up on Egypt and Israel, and the other 7 just fell on Egypt. So the Lord had, he's real particular and fancy with what he do. All them angels that's up there in heaven now, they got jobs. You're going to read that too. But then the ones that got cast down to the earth, they still doing their job, creating havoc. You got an angel specifically just to influence you to murder, to influence you to molest, to influence you to commit adultery, fornicate, steal, lie. Everything that's against the commandment of the Lord, you got an angel just right for it, just for you, if that's your particular fancy. You like to steal, you good at stealing, you got an angel that's helping you out along the way. And if you get too far caught up in it, your stealing is going to turn into murder, because you're going to end up killing somebody while you stealing. So they out here, and they doing their job. They even infesting the animals. Animals don't, by nature, attack people. But remember, they wild. And sometimes they do revert back to their old nature. Because you can't tame nothing that's meant to be wild. That ain't natural. That's why them whales kill their trainers. And if it's a dog to kill their trainer or their owner or attack a human, you got to put a bullet in their head. But they had a whole big old court thing about this Shamu. They should have killed him right off the spot. Put a harpoon right through his head. Because this ain't the first time he killed somebody. He got a record. For real, look at it. He killed about 2 or 3 trainers. But what can you do with a whale that kill a trainer? What, put him on probation or something? Don't let him perform no more? You need to release him. Let him go. But anyway, take him for a ride like we used to do these how we got. Let's go to Amos 3. Amos chapter 3. Pick it up at verse 3. We're going to start at verse 3. Amos 3:3. Okay, read.
Can 2 walk together except they be agreed?
Can 2 walk together except they be agreed? We know the answer to that. No. Ain't no such thing as what they call it, agreeing to disagree. Please. You either with me or you ain't with me. Because if you ain't, we can go our separate ways. Keep reading.
Will a lion roar in the forest when he hath no prey?
Will a lion roar in the forest and he ain't got nothing to eat? Nope. He going to be real quiet, because if he roaring, he going to scare his prey away. Go ahead.
Will a young lion cry out of his den if he hath taken nothing?
Go ahead.
Can a bird fall in a snare upon the earth wherein no gin is for him? Shall one take up a snare from the earth and have taken nothing at all? Shall a trumpet be blown in the city, and the people not be afraid? Shall there be evil in the city, and the Lord hath not done it?
So shall there be evil in the city, and the Lord has not done it? The Lord brings evil upon the city. He brings evil upon nations. He brings evil upon individuals. The Lord runs it all. Go to Matthew 24. And let's look at the last days. That just because some of these things are happening, people think it's the end of the world. You ain't even close. You're closer than you think, but you really ain't that close. Because you're looking at the wrong signs. And these signs here people are looking at, they think this is the end of the world. We're going to see what the end of the world is. Matthew 24 and verse 3, read it.
And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world?
So they asked Jesus a question. When shall these things be? When is the temple going to be destroyed? What is going to be the sign of your coming and the end of the world? That's 3 questions. And he going to answer them. Verse 4, read it.
And Jesus answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you.
First thing, right out the door, don't be fooled. Take heed that no man deceives you. Because man, as long as man has been on this earth, he's been deceiving mankind. Plenty of people have predicted the end of the world. Where they at? Dead and gone. And the world is still going on without them. Keep reading.
For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars.
You shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. That's happening. War's been going on for the longest. Go ahead.
See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet.
So these wars and rumors of wars, they got to come to pass. They have to happen, but the end is not yet. It's not the end. Keep reading.
For a nation shall rise against nation.
Nation going to be fighting against each other. Go ahead.
And kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in divers places. All these things are the beginning of sorrow.
All these things are the end of the world. It's the beginning of sorrow. You're going to have earthquakes and famines, pestilences in different places. But these is just the beginning of sorrow. It's sad when things like this happen. You got a big earthquake, a lot of people get killed. People starving. Are they still starving in Ethiopia? They've been having commercials since I was little. And they still starving. But they think it's over there. It's everywhere. We got famines here.
Yes, we do.
Homeless people on the street can't eat. That's famine. You can't eat.
Yes.
Earthquakes everywhere. They had earthquakes today. Look on the internet. About 5 or 6 earthquakes happen. Don't even hear about them. Because everybody think the world revolves around the United States. I don't think so. There's a whole world outside of us. Don't think Israel is just here. Right. Remember, the book says Israel was scattered into every nation. Let's go to 2 Samuel. But the Lord says it's going to be earthquakes and famines and pestilences, which are diseases in different places. But let's see who's going to be bringing all these famines and pestilences and earthquakes. 2 Samuel 21. 2 verses. 1 and 2. 2 Samuel 21. Verse 1. Go ahead.
Then there was a famine in the days of David 3 years, year after year. And David inquired of the Lord. And the Lord answered, It is for Saul and for his bloody house, because he slew the Gibeonites.
So there was a famine in the days of David, a 3-year famine. And every year the Lord inquired of the Lord, Lord, why is this happening? Why are we getting this famine? So the Lord answered him and said, look, it's for Saul and his bloody house, because he slew the Gibeonites. Because if you read Joshua, they made a covenant with the Gibeonites, because when they was coming through the land, they made a pact with them, because the Gibeonites disguised themselves to make them think they was from a country far off. So Joshua made a pact with them. They couldn't kill them. So they stayed in the land of Israel, which I believe, don't hold my feet to the fire, but I think these Gibeonites is what taught Benjamin all that sodomy. Because they dwelt in the land of Gibeah. But that's just me. Or maybe it was always in Israel anyway to do sinful nature. But anyway, verse 2, go ahead.
And the king called the Gibeonites, and said unto them, Now the Gibeonites were not of the children of Israel, but of the remnant of the Amorites. And the children of Israel had sworn unto them, and Saul sought to slay them in his zeal to the children of Israel and Judah.
So Saul broke the pact that was made between them. That's why the Lord brought that famine in the land for 3 years. Go to 2 Samuel 24. 2 Samuel 24, and pick it up at verse 1. Okay, read it.
And again, the anger of the Lord was kindled against Israel, and he moved David against them to say, Go, number Israel and Judah.
So the anger of the Lord again was kindled against Israel. So now he want to do some damage. Go ahead.
For the king said to Joab, the captain of the host, which was with him, Go now through all the tribes of Israel, from Dan even to Beersheba, and number ye the people, that I may know the number of the people. And Joab said unto the king, Now the Lord thy God add unto the people how many soever they be, 100-fold, and that the eyes of my lord the king may see it. But why doth my lord the king delight in this thing? Notwithstanding, the king's words prevailed against Joab and against the captain of the host. And Joab and the captain of the host went out from the presence of the king to number the people of Israel.
So now the Lord said Israel would never be numbered. They would be like the sands of the sea and the stars of heaven. So what David was about to do was a sinful thing. But Joab, he couldn't go against the king, so he went on, did the number, but he played with the numbers a little bit because he knew he didn't want to get himself in trouble. Other scriptures will tell you that he messed around with the numbers. He didn't number Levi. He was like, I can't do this. He started to number, but he was like, no, this is too much. I can't do it. So it was a sin, and this is what happened to David. The Lord sent Gad the seer to tell him, look, man, you messed up. Now, you better choose what I'm about to do to you. Verse 14, read it. 10, I'm sorry. Skip down to verse 10 and read it.
And David's heart smote him after that he had numbered the people. And David said unto the Lord, I have sinned greatly in that I have done. And now I beseech thee, O Lord, take away the iniquity of thy servant, for I have done very foolishly.
So now after David did that, he was like, why did I do that? You ever did something like that? And think about it later, why did I do that? It's like running a red light. You run through that light, you get into an accident. Why did I do that? So David's heart smote him greatly after he numbered the people. Verse 11, read it.
For when David was up in the morning, the word of the Lord came unto the prophet Gad, David's seer, saying, Go and say unto David, Thus saith the Lord, I offer thee 3 things. Choose thee one of them, that I may do it unto thee.
So the Lord said, I'm going to punish you, David. I'm going to get you. And this is coming from me. Let's see what those 3 choices were. Go ahead.
So Gad came to David and told him, and said unto him, Shall 7 years of famine come unto thee in thy land?
7 years of famine. The Lord is going to bring 7 years of famine in the land. What else?
Or wilt thou flee 3 months before thine enemies?
Or will you run from your enemies for 3 months? Go ahead.
While they pursue thee. Or that there be 3 days pestilence in thy land.
Or 3 days of pestilence in the land. That's disease. And it's coming from the Lord. Remember that. It's all coming from the Lord. All this stuff comes from the Lord. It's for the man's sinful nature. Keep reading.
Now advise and see what answer I shall return to him that sent me. And David said unto Gad, I am in a great strait.
I bet you are. Go ahead.
Let us fall now into the hand of the Lord, for his mercies are great, and let me not fall into the hands of man.
So David chose to put himself on the mercy of the court. I'm going to deal with you, Lord, because I know you are fair and righteous judge. And let's see how fair the Lord is. Verse 15.
So the Lord set a pestilence upon Israel from the morning even to the time appointed.
So he gave the Lord the choice. He didn't want to fall in the hands of man. So the other 2 choices was what? Famine or disease. So he let the Lord make the choice. And the Lord gave him 3 days of pestilence. And how many people died? Go ahead.
And there died of the people from Dan even to Beersheba 70,000 men.
70,000 men in 3 days. That's quick. I'd rather take the 3 days than the 3 months of running. Let's get it over with quick. Because 3 months of running, a whole lot more people can die. So give me the 3 days and take them all at one shot. But this is the Lord. The Lord made the choice for David because he put it back in the hand of the Lord. So we see the Lord can bring some disease on his people, which he's doing now, because we number one in every disease. And it's all coming from the Lord. Let's go to, we finished that?
Yes.
Isaiah 37. Isaiah 37. And we're going almost done here. Isaiah 37. So if the Lord don't have a problem putting disease on his people, it shouldn't be no problem putting it on somebody else. Isaiah 37. And we know this story. This Sennacherib, he coming against Israel, talking big stuff, telling Hezekiah, don't make the people, telling the people don't think, make Hezekiah think he can save you. And he really messed up when he told the people, don't let the Lord think he can save you. Because we are the Assyrians, man. We done dug canals, we done destroyed people, destroyed everybody's God. So don't think that your God can save you, and that's where he messed up. So Hezekiah did some heavy praying. Isaiah 37, and pick it up at verse 21. Read it.
Then Isaiah the son of Amoz said unto Hezekiah, saying, Thus said the Lord God of Israel, whereas thou hast prayed to me against Sennacherib of Assyria. This is the word which the Lord hath spoken concerning him. The virgin, the daughter of Zion, hath despised thee, and laughed thee to scorn. The daughter of Jerusalem hath shaken her head at thee. Whom hast thou reproached and blasphemed, and against whom thou hast exalted thy voice, and lifted up thine eyes on high, even against the Holy One of Israel.
Now I can see, the Lord laughing at this cat because, the Lord made mankind. And you're going to blaspheme the one that made you? You was in place when you was talking about them other guys. You was all right then, but you don't want to talk about me. So the Lord is laughing at you. He said, look, you reproach and blaspheme me against thou exalted thy voice and lifted up thine eyes on high, even against the Holy One of Israel. Let me tell you what I'm going to do for you. Skip down to verse 33.
Therefore, thus saith the Lord concerning the king of Assyria, he shall not come into this city.
He ain't coming to this city.
Nor shoot an arrow there.
He ain't going to even shoot an arrow.
Nor come before it with shields, nor cast a bank against it. By the way he came, by the same shall he return, and shall not come into this city, saith the Lord. For I will defend the city to save it for my own sake, and for my servant David's sake. Then the angel of the Lord went forth and smote in the camp of the Assyrians 185,000. And when they arose early in the morning, behold, they were all dead corpses.
So the Lord sent one angel to kill 185,000 soldiers. And people think this is a fairy tale. Well, the Assyrians, archaeologists and all these historical scholars will tell you the Assyrian Empire existed. And they found records of this actual thing right here. But they won't attribute it to God. But we know the Lord sent one angel and killed 185,000 soldiers. And we're going to read it out the history book. It's right here, the last 2 million years, page 56. Read that.
Sennacherib sacked and burnt Babylon. In his own words, the city and its houses, from its foundation to its top, I destroyed, I devastated, I burnt with fire. Through the midst of that city I dug canals. I flooded its site with water, and the very foundations thereof I destroyed. Jerusalem was also besieged in 701 BC by the occasion on which, in the words of Brian's poem, the Assyrian came down like the wolf on the fold. Sennacherib extorted tribute from Hezekiah. According to the Old Testament, Hezekiah cut off the gold from the doors of the temple of the Lord and from the pillars and gave it to the king of Assyria. Inscriptions in Sennacherib's own palace boast of how he shut up Hezekiah like a caged bird. But the Assyrians failed to take Jerusalem before plague forced them to withdraw.
So the plague forced them to withdraw. But we know what that plague was. It was one angel from the Lord that destroyed his whole army. And that's historical facts. But you would believe that before you believe this. And man wrote that too. Let's go to number 16. Number 16. Now let's look at this earthquake, which the Lord caused it. And I got 3 more places and we out of here. Number 16. Pick it up at verse 1. Go ahead.
Now Korah, the son of Ishhar, the son of Kohath, the son of Levi, and Dathan, and Abiram, the son of Eliab, and On, the son of Peleth, the son of Reuben, took men. And they rose up before Moses with certain of the children of Israel, 250 princes of the assembly, famous in the congregation, men of renown. And they gathered themselves together against Moses and against Aaron, and said unto them, Ye take too much upon you, seeing all the congregation are holy, every one of them, and the Lord is among them. Wherefore then lift ye up yourselves above the congregation of the Lord? And when Moses heard it, he fell upon his face. And he spake unto Korah and unto all his company, saying, Even tomorrow the Lord will show who are his and who is holy, and will cause him to come near unto him, even him who he hath chosen will he cause to come near unto him.
So this is Korah and his boys, you know. They're going to pump their chests out against Moses and Aaron. Because he tell them, look, y'all think y'all better than everybody else, even though the whole nation is holy. We want some of this action too, man. So Moses said, look, he spoke to him and said, until it's all his company, tomorrow the Lord is going to deal with this. He's going to settle this tomorrow. But y'all just be ready. Keep reading.
This do, take you censers, Korah and all his company, and put fire therein, and put incense in them before the Lord tomorrow. And it shall be that the man whom the Lord doth choose, he shall be holy. Ye take too much upon you, ye sons of Levi.
So he said, take your censers and all your boys, and be ready, because tomorrow the Lord is going to choose who's going to be holy. Skip down to verse 12 and read it.
And Moses sent to call Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, which said, We will not come up. Is it a small thing that thou hast brought us up out of the land that floweth with milk and honey, to kill us in the wilderness, except thou make thyself altogether a prince over us? Moreover, thou hast not brought us into a land that floweth with milk and honey, or given us inheritance of the fields and vineyards. Wilt thou put out the eyes of these men? We will not come up.
Now, you know this is Israel, because it's going to be the same way after the tribulation. Because the book says he's going to purge out, after he gathered the people, he's going to purge out the rebels. After they done survived them 6 trumpets, them 7 trumpets, and he brought you to the place where he's going to teach you, you still going to have some hard-headed Israelites. Just like right here. Don't nothing change with Israel. Somebody going to try to stick their chests out against the Lord. And it's going to be instantaneous. Get out of here. You're going to drop dead right where you at. Go ahead.
And Moses was very wroth, and said unto the Lord, Respect not their offering. I have not taken one ass from them, neither have I hurt one of them. And Moses said unto Korah, Be thou and all thy company before the Lord, thou and they and Aaron, tomorrow. And take every man his censer, and put incense in them, and bring ye before the Lord every man his censer, 250 censers, thou also and Aaron, each of you his censer.
Okay, skip down to 23 and read it. Go ahead.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the congregation, saying, Get you up from about the tabernacle of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram.
So we said, look, get away from these cats, because something about to go down. Get away from them. Go ahead.
And Moses rose up and went unto Dathan and Abiram, and the elders of Israel followed him. And he spake unto the congregation, saying, Depart, I pray you, from the tents of these wicked men, and touch nothing of theirs, lest ye be consumed in all their sins. So they got up from the tabernacle of Korah, Dathan and Abiram on every side. And Dathan and Abiram came out and stood in the door of their tents, and their wives, and their sons, and their little children. And Moses said, Hereby ye shall know that the Lord hath sent me to do all these works, for I have not done them of mine own mind. If these men die the common death of all men, or if they be visited after the visitation of all men, then the Lord hath not sent me. But if the Lord make a new thing, and the earth open up her mouth and swallow them up, with all that appertain unto them, and they go down quick into the pit, then ye shall understand that these men have provoked the Lord.
So Moses told him, look, if I'm doing this thing on my own, if they die of old age, then you know the Lord didn't send me. But if the earth opened up, and the only way the earth going to open up is if it quakes. So if the earth opened up and swallow these people up and everything that's with them, then you know that it's coming from the Lord. Keep reading.
And it came to pass, as he had made an end of speaking all these words,
As soon as he finished talking, go ahead,
that the ground clave asunder that was under them. And the earth opened up her mouth and swallowed them up, and their houses, and all the men that appertain unto Korah, and all their goods.
That's why the Lord told the rest of them to get away from them. Get away from them. Because I don't know how, whatever their houses were spread out, the earth must have opened up an awful wide spot to dump all them people up in there. And their houses. Or some just sucked them under. The bottom just dropped out. Keep reading.
They and all that appertained to them went down alive into the pit, and the earth closed upon them, and they perished from among the congregation. And all Israel that were round about them fled at the cry of them, for they said, Lest the earth swallow us up also. And there came out a fire from the Lord, and consumed 250 men that offered incense.
So the ones that had their little incense, they wasn't holy no more. They was burnt up. Revelation 16. So we see the Lord can open up the earth. Mother Nature don't cause earthquakes. It's the Lord. And people think California's prone for earthquakes because, you know, y'all have them all the time. You should be used to them. But when the Lord come back, he going to shake up the whole world. He going to shake it up. And I don't care how I do a little construction every now and then. We have to earthquake-proof all these buildings, which it ain't going to happen when the Lord come back. I don't care how much you earthquake-proof a building. When the big one hits, everything is coming down. Revelation 16, start at verse 1, read it.
And I heard a great voice out of the temple saying to the seven angels, Go your ways, and pour out the vials of wrath upon God, and pour out the vials of wrath of God upon the earth.
So we got seven angels pouring out their vials of the wrath of God on the earth. Just like the Lord sent that angel to kill 185,000 soldiers. Just like the Lord sent pestilence throughout Israel and killed, how many was it, 70,000? It's time for these angels to pour their vials of wrath out on the earth. And every wrath, every vial, bring forth some kind of destruction. But we want the last vial, which is number 17, which is the seventh vial. Skip down to verse 17 and read it.
And the seventh angel poured out his vial into the air, and there came a great voice out of the temple of heaven from the throne, saying, It is done.
So once the seventh vial is poured out, it's a wrap. And let's see what happens. Go ahead.
And there were voices, and thunderings, and lightnings.
You got thunderings, lightnings, and what else?
And there was a great earthquake.
A great earthquake, the biggest of the biggest ones, right here. Go ahead.
Such as was not since men were upon the earth, so mighty an earthquake, and so great.
So this earthquake had to be big. And it just ain't happening over here. And it just ain't happening in China. This is the whole world being shook. The Lord is shaking the whole world. But people can't imagine that. But he's slowly getting your attention because earthquakes are starting to happen in places where they ain't supposed to happen. And people are taking note on it. They felt an earthquake, a tremor in Chicago. I mean, come on now, Chicago, the Windy City. Anything, they should go under an ice age, but not no earthquake. But the Lord is just slowly revealing things to people to let you know who's running it. But the more he reveals things to people, the more they revert back to their paganism. All of a sudden, witchcraft is a good thing because you got beautiful women playing witches. It's good now. It's always been satanic and evil because you got little kids dressing up in angels and shepherds on Halloween. Halloween's supposed to be good during the daytime. But then at night, the grown folks get out and do their little Halloween parties, which is evil and lustful. So what's the big deal? You got good Halloween and bad Halloween? It's all the same. It's satanic no matter how you look at it, whether the kids are involved or the grown folks involved. We finished that?
Yes.
Go to 1 Kings 8. And this is it, 1 Kings 8. And this is a way out of this, but the world is too steeped in paganism. They're too steeped in this watered-down pagan Christianity to where they're going to have a sodomite strong-arm you. To where now your moral values can't be based on the book. How do you feel about two men getting married? Well, according to the Bible, I don't want to hear what the Bible says. I want you to tell me what you say, what you think about it. But I can't. I serve this God. I have to speak for him. My opinion don't mean nothing. So once they get this off the table, now they can get you for not going along with what society's all about already. Since Sunday worship don't want to teach what thus saith the Lord. That's why they can strip them preachers, expose them for what they are, nobodies. All they do is sell books and motivate people. They don't teach what thus saith the Lord. Watch T.D. Jakes for 15 minutes if you can. See how much Bible he read. I mean, he get the people hyped up and don't have one Bible in his hand. Osteen, look at him. He waved the Bible in front of you, but never opens it up. First Kings 8, verse 35. Read it. This is the way out, but the world don't want to deal with it. Go ahead.
When heaven is shut up, and there is no rain, because they have sinned against thee, if they pray towards this place, and confess thy name, and turn from their sin when thou afflictest them, then hear thou in heaven, and forgive the sin of thy servants, and of thy people Israel, that thou teach them the good way wherein they should walk, and give rain upon thy land, which thou hast given to thy people for an inheritance.
So when the heaven is shut up and ain't no rain, sacrifice a goat to Mother Nature. Maybe you might do a rain dance. You might get some rain, huh? No. You pray towards the city. And maybe confess your sins before the Lord, and he might hear you where? From heaven. Keep reading.
If there be in the land famine, if there be pestilence, blasting, mildew, locust, or if there be caterpillar, if their enemies besiege them in the land of their cities, whatsoever plague, whatsoever sickness there be, what prayer and supplication soever may be made by any man, or by all thy people Israel, which shall know every man the plague of his own heart, and spread forth his hands towards this house, then hear thou in heaven thy dwelling place, and forgive and do, and give to every man according to his ways, whose heart thou knowest. For even thou only knowest the hearts of all the children of men.
So that's the way out. Pray to the Lord. Confess your sins before him, and he might lift this affliction from you. Take it to the Lord. Let's go to the last place, Psalm 47. Psalm 47. Pick it up at verse 1. Go ahead.
Oh, clap your hands, all ye people. Shout unto God with the voice of triumph. For the Lord Most High is terrible. He is a great king over all the earth.
Skip down to verse 7 and read it.
For God is the king of all the earth. Sing ye praises with understanding.
And I hope you got some understanding. In Jesus' name.